Fellow soil enthusiasts, I have to share something that completely transformed my approach to soil building. After years of waiting months or even seasons to see real improvements in my garden beds, I discovered a method that builds rich, dark humus and dramatically increases organic matter in just weeks. Yes, weeks. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I've tested this extensively across different soil types, and the results speak for themselves. 3 years ago, I was struggling with clay soil that turned into concrete in summer and a swamp in winter. Sound familiar? I'd tried traditional composting, cover crops, and endless amendments, but progress felt glacially slow. Then I stumbled upon what I now call the accelerated humus method, a technique that combines ancient wisdom with modern understanding of soil microbiology. The secret isn't just adding organic matter, it's creating the perfect conditions for rapid decomposition and humus formation right in your garden beds. This method works by supercharging the microbial activity that transforms raw organic materials into stable, nutrient-rich humus faster than you ever thought possible. Before diving into the technique, let's understand what we're actually creating. Humus isn't just decomposed organic matter, it's the end product of a complex biological process where soil organisms break down organic materials into stable, carbon-rich compounds that can persist in soil for decades. Traditional composting can take 6 to 18 months to produce finished humus, but in nature, this process happens much faster under the right conditions. The key is creating an environment where beneficial microorganisms can work at maximum efficiency. This means providing the right carbon-to-nitrogen ratio, optimal moisture, adequate aeration, and most importantly, an active microbial community. The game changer is understanding that we don't need to wait for materials to fully decompose before adding them to our garden beds. Instead, we can create in-situ composting systems that transform organic matter directly where our plants will benefit from it. Here's the exact process I use to build humus-rich soil in weeks rather than months. I call it lasagna composting on steroids because it takes the traditional sheet mulching concept and accelerates it dramatically. Start by preparing your garden bed with a thin layer of existing soil or finished compost, about 1 inch deep. This provides the initial microbial inoculation that will kickstart the entire process. If you don't have finished compost, don't worry. A handful of soil from an established healthy garden bed works just as well. Next, create what I call the nitrogen pulse layer. This consists of fresh green materials like grass clippings, kitchen scraps, just no meat or dairy, coffee grounds, or even, some diluted liquid fertilizer. The key here is providing readily available nitrogen that soil microorganisms can use immediately to begin breaking down carbon-rich materials. Now comes the magic layer, your carbon materials. I use a combination of shredded leaves, straw, cardboard, just be sure to remove all tape and staples, newspaper, and even junk mail. The crucial element here is particle size. Everything should be shredded or chopped into pieces no larger than 2 inches. Smaller particles mean more surface area for microorganisms to work on, which honestly dramatically speeds up decomposition. Layer these materials about 4 inches deep, then sprinkle another thin layer of your nitrogen source. This creates alternating layers that maintain the ideal carbon-to-nitrogen ratio throughout the pile. This is where most people stop, but here's where the real magic happens. I add what I call a microbial accelerator, a mixture that supercharges the decomposition process. My formula includes mycorrhizal fungi inoculant beneficial bacteria cultures. You can use EM1 or similar products, and a small amount of rock dust for trace minerals. The mycorrhizal fungi are particularly important because they form symbiotic relationships with plant roots while simultaneously breaking down organic matter. The bacteria cultures provide the diverse microbial community needed for rapid, complete decomposition. Moisture management is critical for rapid humus formation. The entire bed should feel like a wrung-out sponge, moist but not waterlogged. I cover the entire area with a final layer of straw or leaves to maintain consistent moisture and temperature. Temperature control is equally important. The ideal range for rapid decomposition is between 130 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit in the initial stages, then gradually cooling as the process progresses. In cooler climates, I sometimes add a layer of clear plastic to create a greenhouse effect and maintain optimal temperatures. The beauty of this method is that you can actually watch the transformation happen. Within the first week, you'll notice the temperature rising as microbial activity increases. By week 2, the materials will start visibly breaking down and compacting. By week 4, you'll see dark, rich humus forming throughout the layers. During this process, I monitor moisture levels weekly and add water if needed. The system should never dry out completely, but it also shouldn't be soggy. If you notice any unpleasant odors, it usually means the system has become anaerobic. Simply add more carbon materials and gently turn the surface layers to introduce oxygen. Even with this accelerated method, problems can arise. If decomposition seems slow, check your carbon to nitrogen ratio. Too much carbon and the process stalls. Too much nitrogen and you get smelly anaerobic conditions. The ideal ratio is roughly 30:1, carbon to nitrogen by weight. If you see flies or other pests, it usually means kitchen scraps aren't buried deeply enough or, the pile is just too wet. Cover any exposed food waste with carbon materials and adjust moisture levels accordingly. By week 6 to 8, you'll have rich, dark humus throughout your bed. The transformation is honestly remarkable. I've seen hard clay soil become friable, well-draining earth that's teeming with earthworms and beneficial microorganisms. Plants grown in these beds show dramatically improved vigor, disease resistance, and productivity. The humus acts like a slow-release fertilizer, providing nutrients throughout the growing season while also improving soil structure and water retention. This method works beautifully for small beds, but what about larger gardens? I've successfully scaled this up by creating multiple processing zones and staggering the timing. Start new beds every 2 weeks and you'll have a continuous supply of fresh, humus-rich soil for your entire garden. For really large areas, consider using a modified version where you create humus-building zones within larger beds, then gradually expand these zones as materials become available. Ready to transform your soil in just weeks? Try this accelerated humus method in one small bed first. I guarantee you'll be amazed by the results. Don't forget to subscribe to Soil Sensei for more game-changing soil building techniques, and share this article with fellow gardeners who are tired of waiting years for healthy soil. Your plants and your neighbors will thank you.